2008, and Hasbro had long since moved away from playsets, the Indiana Jones figure series seems to have been treated by Hasbro like an attempt at a redemption for a film franchise that had never been given its just due on store shelves. So Hasbro made a centerpiece playset for Indiana Jones, The Lost Temple of Akator.
Akator? He said that.
Yeah.
And the result is a head-scratcher.
You're sure?
That's what he said. He said Akator. What is it?
Obviously, Hasbro needed to show Crystal Skull the love in the playset department, though most of us would have preferred a Well of Souls, or a Temple of Kali, or Grail Temple, or pretty much any setting from anything other than Crystal Skull. Plus, the artwork on the box is ridiculous. Why is Indy flying like Superman? In the grand tradition of the Sherwood Forest playset being an upgrade of the Ewok village, the Temple of Akator recycles the Mustafar playset from Revenge of the Sith in 2005.
Liar!
The Mustafar playset was pretty much a volcano with some breakaway platforms jutting off the top of it, with a lava pit for Anakin to fall into, some magma boulders you could launch out of it, and those floating platforms for Anakin and Obi-Wan to duel on. The Lost Temple of Akator is a jungle repaint of that Mustafar volcano, with the lava pit now a quicksand pit, some additional stair pieces added to the front, and resculpted statuary over the doorway. A breakaway stone door has been added in front of the opening to the interior, and the collapsing platforms on top are replaced with a stone totem statue that unfolds into a staircase that leads down into the heart of the temple. Where the floating dual platforms were mounted to a spout of lava, the Akator playset now has a tree for Indy to swing on. Strangely, despite taking the time to resculpt much of the playset away from its Star Wars aesthetic, including the interior floor textures, they didn't bother to resculpt the side walls of the main doorway itself, which still retained the Mustafar wall panels from Revenge of the Sith. And because the Temple of Akator was nowhere near a volcano, the flying boulders coming out of the top of the temple make no sense at all. Oh well, at least the big snake from the second version of Mutt Williams now has a sand pit to hang out around. Akator came with a repack of the Uga warrior,
The Uga tribe.
and an Indiana Jones figure that appears to be the original Raiders Indy, indicated by the massive gun holster. Some versions of this playset even packed in the second version of Mutt and Irina Spalko, so you got 4 figures with the set. You can tell it was an attempt to offload peg warmers, because the second version of Mutt doesn't have a dueling sword to fight Spalko, so it otherwise makes no sense why those 2 figures are paired up. A bigger shame with the playset was the staircase. In the film, the entrance into the temple was an elaborate column with retracting stone stairs. Hasbro actually developed this scene into a working mechanism as the basis for their Akator Temple Race game, but they tooled it for miniature figures. If they'd scaled it up and somehow added it onto this playset instead of the lame stair ramp, it would have been an excellent play feature for the figures. Now, remember how I said every action figure comes with a little box that looks like a wooden crate? Every individually carded